welcome to episode 15 of the Wool Needles Hands podcast. My name is Taylor and I am your host. I am coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, where I am from and where I live with my husband Brandon, our 2.5-year-old son Angus, and our big fat lazy house cat Oscar. And we are expecting another member of the family in March, which is really exciting. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, but I do talk about other things from time to time. I'm not a prolific knitter. Things don't fly off my needles magically in a hurry, so I don't always have lots of new knitting things to talk about, but there's always fun things to talk about here on the Wool Needles Hands podcast. So it's so nice to have you here. Have a seat, take a load off, relax, grab a cup of tea, grab your knitting, and enjoy your time here with us. You can find me on Instagram. I am at Wool Needles Hands. You can also find me on my other Instagram account, which is attached to my hand-dyed yarn business, which is at fiber.for.the.people. I have lots of beautiful yarn on display over there, as well as in the fiberforthepeopleYarn.com online store, so you can check that out as well. I'll be talking a little bit more about that later in the episode. You can also contact me via email if you'd like, if you have any questions about the show, something that you've seen on the show, anything at all regarding the Wool Needles Hands podcast. You can contact me at woolneedleshands@gmail.com. There is also a Ravelry group linked to this podcast, and you can find it by going to the groups tab and searching Wool Needles Hands podcast. Join there, participate in some of the knit-alongs that we will have going on, that we have one going on right now. Just get involved in the conversation, kind of keep up to date over there. I do post show notes from time to time, though I'm not very good at it. It's not something I do religiously. I do my best to include information in the actual episode itself on the screen, so that if you want to take notes or write things down as you go, you can. If I happen to not get show notes up in time for a particular episode, but shoot me an email, even if it's just to remind me, hey, you didn't get your show notes up. Sometimes I just get carried away with other things, especially the editing part of the podcast, and I just completely forget to put my show notes up, but that's just the way it is. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can always email me. Over the course of this next episode, if you like what you see, or if you like what you have seen but you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. It is very important to the show. It's what keeps this going, and your support is always a huge motivation for me. So don't forget to subscribe, even give it a thumbs up if you like what you see. I do want to announce a new giveaway on the show. It's been a while since I've done one, and we have surpassed 3,000 subscribers. We're actually someplace a little over 3,400 subscribers, which blows my mind. As many of you know who have come back to watch the episode time and time again, I did take a hiatus towards the end of summer, and this is my second episode since returning from that little hiatus after finding out we were going to have a baby and then moving into a new home, that whole thing. If you watch the previous episode, I talk a little bit about that. So I've just kind of been getting myself back into gear, picking my momentum up back again. So anyway, I have taken that hiatus. So this is only the second episode since that. So I really feel like it's time that we give something away to celebrate all of you that keep coming back and supporting the show, because it means so much to me. So I'm going to be doing, it's kind of like a 3,000 subscriber giveaway, but it's really just a thank you for sticking with it, standing by me through, these last few months have been a little crazy, but sticking with the podcast and supporting every time that I post, showing support here, showing support on Instagram, showing support for the Fiber for the People Yarn Company, all of that. So I want to give something away to you guys for that, and I'm going to do it with a giveaway question, but let me show you what I'm going to be giving away first. Okay, so I have quite a package here to give away to you guys. The first thing that I'm going to be including is a skein of Fiber for the People yarn. This is my Miss Harker colorway. So this is my Miss Harker colorway. It is a very soft, subtle colorway with lots of beautiful dark and light earthy toned speckles in here. I'm gonna cover my face up so it focuses on the yarn a little bit better. It's really quite gorgeous. It's a little bit more saturated than what you're seeing here. The white lights have a tendency to kind of blow things out a little bit. It's really beautiful. Actually, you can see this over on my Instagram account for Fiber for the People, which is at fiber.for.the.people. There's pictures of Miss Harker if you want to get a little bit of a better look at this colorway. I'll take the label off so you can kind of see the whole shebang. So here it is. There's some beautiful peaches in there, lots of speckles of deep mossy green, some pumpkin spice type orange colors, deep purple colors. It's kind of I don't know, it's a little bit of a nod to fall, to Halloween, but still kind of like that, I don't even know, I feel like it's got this gothic appeal to it, even though it's really light and subtle. That's kind of why I called it Miss Harker She is the love interest of Dracula, if you are familiar with the Bram Stoker's version of the story. Or, I mean, if you know anything about Winona Ryder and Bram Stoker's Dracula from the 90s. I don't know, whatever. That's what inspired this particular colorway, but I am going to be giving this skein away, and that is Miss Harker by Fiber for the People yarn. It is on a 3-ply 100% merino superwash yarn. It's beautiful, it's scrumptious, it's 490 yards, so you have plenty of yarn here. It's very lofty, but I love it so much. It's super, super soft and yummy. It's very pillowy and lofty. So that is going to be in the giveaway. I am also including a gorgeous bar of sock soap by Tuft Woolens. This is a little sheep cast bar of sock soap. If you guys have not heard of Tuft Woolens, you really need to check it out. Her products are amazing. They smell so beautiful, so earthy and natural, but beautiful. So I'm going to be giving away this bar of sock soap. In addition, by Tuft Woolens, in addition to this hand and body balm here, this is called Royal Apiary, and it's a hand and body balm, really cool, like deodorant style applicator that makes it really easy to use, but I love this. That will be in the giveaway. And then also by Lorelei Urto Designs, she's a jewelry designer. You can find her over on Instagram. She has amazing jewelry. She actually, what I'm going to be including in the giveaway are project kind of like progress keepers and stitch markers. She doesn't typically design stitch markers and progress keepers, but this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. It gives you a little bit of the idea of her aesthetic, but you can check out more of her jewelry designs over on Instagram. I'll pop her Instagram handle up on the screen, but this is what will be in the package. It is a set of stitch markers and progress keepers, and they're beautiful. There's like a little cat, a little all-seeing eye, I believe. No, wait. Yeah, there's like an all-seeing eye, just like really cool, funky stitch markers. So those will be in the giveaway package as well. So lots of really fun things coming to you in this giveaway package. And I love looking at it all together actually, because it's just like a similar, I'm using this word aesthetic, I guess. But here, I'm gonna try put it all up in one little package deal there. So lots of really cute stuff coming your way. So please, if you have not subscribed to the show, go ahead and subscribe, and then I'm going to have you answer a question down in the comment section below, and that will be your entrance into the giveaway. So number 1, subscribe, and number 2, answer in the comment section below, and I will choose randomly from the comments below. So your question is, and this is actually kind of an interesting question and probably a little bit complex and complicated, but I was thinking about it the other day when I was working on one of my projects, that for whatever reason, there's a certain combination of yarn weight and needle size that just causes my knitting to fly off my needles. I just work super fast. I can knit without looking, and it's just super, it's like that perfect sweet spot combination of yarn and needle. Or if you crochet, then you probably have a similar thing happening with your yarn and your particular hook size. I don't crochet, so I'm not really familiar with that, but I would like to know if you do have that. So anyway, that's my question. What is your sweet spot yarn and hook/needle size combination when you're knitting? I mean, is it worsted weight with a certain needle size? Is it heavyweight yarn with a certain needle size? Whatever it is, all I want to know is what is your sweet spot combination? Mine, I have come to realize, is a good solid worsted weight yarn, 4 stitches per inch, basic Aran worsted weight yarn with a size 7 needle. That's like my sweet spot. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've knit a few things with that combination of yarn, and it just works. It just flies off my needles. It feels pretty effortless. And I love it. So, and that's one of the projects I'm working on right now, and it just seems to be flying off my needles. It's actually the half object that I'm going to be sharing with you, which is funny because it like I said, it flew, and I was able to watch TV and knit at the same time, no problem. Of course, when you see the project, you'll understand that it's probably because it's a really simple pattern, but whatever. That is my sweet spot combination. So let me know what your sweet spot yarn and hook/needle size is down below in the comment section, and that will be your entrance into the 3,000 plus subscriber thank you for subscribing giveaway here on the Wool Needles Hands podcast. So let's talk about the one knit along we have going on over here at the show right now. We are participating in a Rhinebeck sweater knit along. Now, I am completely aware that Rhinebeck already happened back at the end of October. And actually, I was planning in the summertime, I was planning on going to Rhinebeck, but things kind of changed. We found out we were having a baby. We had to change around some of our plans a little bit. So I did not go this year, but I am still carrying on the Rhinebeck sweater knit along. And I'm super, super excited that I did, because over on the Ravelry page for the podcast, there are beautiful progress, works in progress of these sweaters over there on the Rhinebeck sweater chatter thread. So if you haven't already added yourself to the Ravelry group, please do. Please check out those whips that are going on over there in that thread. They're just gorgeous. So I'm really, really happy that I'm keeping this going, because watching the things that you guys are working on is super inspiring. And actually, before I go any further about the knit along, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the things that are going on over in the chatter thread right now on the Ravelry page. Beautiful work, you guys. Thank you so much for participating in this knit along. I haven't been very talkative about it, only because I've had 2 episodes since the announcing of this particular knit along, but I am going to continue talking about it until the end of the knit along, which is January 1st. So pretty much the rules are knitting a sweater for yourself, and you have to have it knit or completed. You have to have it completed by January 1st. It's kind of like your Rhinebeck sweater for the following season. And that's just because I needed some more time myself to get this done. I know that some of you maybe started a little bit later and you could use some more time, or perhaps you want to knit 2 sweaters and be an overachiever, which is awesome as well. So that's pretty much it. You're knitting a sweater for yourself, sharing your progress over on the Ravelry page, and it has to be done by January 1st. And the prize for this knit along, though I don't have anything physical to share with you yet, because I haven't really decided the colorways that I would like to use for the prize for this, but it is going to be 2 skeins of Fiber for the People yarn, and that will be, I'm either deciding whether or not to have you choose the colorways you would like these to be, and I can dye them to order almost for the giveaway, or I'm going to come up with some new colors that I give away here on the podcast first before even adding them into the shop. So something like that. But right now, just have fun knitting a sweater and sharing your progress with us over on the podcast. And please know, we don't need fancy, elaborate patterns, anything you want, even if it's just a simple top-down, all-in-one piece crew neck sweater, because those are gorgeous and super fun to knit. Whatever it is that you want to knit, you just knit your little heart out. You can use whatever kind of yarn you want, size of yarn, weight of yarn, whatever. We're just knitting sweaters over here. Super, super simple. So participate, join in, and definitely head over there and check out some of the work that's already been done. It's very, very inspiring. I feel like this next segment of the podcast is going to come off a little infomercially, and I don't intend it to be that way at all, but it's just that what I'm drinking today is something I kind of wanted to share with you guys, because it's pretty legit in my opinion. So I'm going to explain this to you. If you can see down in my cup, it looks like I'm drinking water, which it feels really strange drinking something that's perfectly clear out of a mug like this that's hot, because you expect it to taste like water. And this particular beverage does not taste like water. It's actually really, really delicious. So let me tell you a little bit about this. This is, it sounds crazy to say this is a magnesium supplement because it's not like a magnesium. Well, yeah, I guess it kind of is like a magnesium supplement. But lately, with a lot of the stuff that's been going on with the move and with kind of wrapping our heads around having a new little one in the house, which is super exciting. But I mean, if we're being honest here, can be a little bit spooky. Not like we haven't done it before, but still, like, it's, you know, you're having another child, you're bringing another person into your household. And I think that that can become a little bit spooky at times. So just lots of stuff going on, and I'm building my momentum back up again with the Fiber for the People shop, with the podcast, getting my knitting mojo back finally. But I feel like the last several weeks, couple of months, have been kind of stressful. And I was talking to a friend, and she recommended this particular drink that you could get at like Sprouts or Whole Foods or any kind of natural food store, and it's called Natural Calm. Now, you may be familiar with this, and this is where it gets infomercially, but please know I'm not sponsored by these people because I'm not that cool. It's just that I have it here, so I'm going to show it to you because you might be interested in this. And it looks like this. And it's called the anti-stress drink. And the reason why it calms you is because it gives you 325 milligrams of magnesium. And I did a lot of research to see how much magnesium can you take as a supplement when you're pregnant, this, and that, just so I know that it's not something that maybe I shouldn't take when I'm pregnant. But it turns out that women who are pregnant or nursing tend to be deficient in magnesium, which can be another kind of cause of stress and anxiety, because magnesium is what keeps our dopamine levels and all of our all of those things that kind of control your stress. It keeps them level and it keeps them under control. And so when you don't have enough of that in your body, you can develop anxiety symptoms where you just start worrying about random things. You wake up in the middle of the night and you just can't go back to sleep because it's just thought after thought of things that you have to do or things that are coming up. Everybody, you get it. So I thought I would give it a shot because I could definitely use like a beverage that is specifically for this. And when I learned about like magnesium supplements, it kind of piqued my interest. So that's actually what I'm drinking right now. And it's not, I feel like I've been feeling a lot better lately. I haven't been as stressed as I was in the beginning, because I'm telling you, that first trimester, that can really throw you for a loop. But it really tastes delicious. It has like this lemony raspberry flavor to it, and it's super refreshing. And you don't have to have it hot, but for whatever reason, it just seems more appealing to me when it's hot. So that's what I'm drinking today. It is called Natural Calm, and it is a relaxing magnesium supplement, vegan, verified non-GFO, restores healthy magnesium levels, yada yada yada. So that's what I've got going. So if you have any need for a beverage that is calming and natural, check it out, because it's delicious and it really, really works. I feel like after having a cup of this, you do definitely feel a little bit more calm, and that's always a good thing. So check it out. So I have had a really, really hard time getting my knitting mojo back in action. I feel like there was a period of time at the beginning of August where I was knitting a lot when we were on vacation in Washington and Alaska. And then when we got back home, I think it was just, and I feel like this is like a sob story of, how stressful the last couple of months have been. And I don't intend for it to be like that. It's not really as bad as I feel like I'm making it sound. But regardless, it was a tumultuous time, and it caused me to kind of push the knitting to the side, and a lot of the things that I was working on at that time, I still haven't even revisited, because it's in my basket, it's over there. Last time I worked on it, we were in Washington, and there's just something, I don't have an urge to pick those things up right now, for whatever reason. So I haven't really had the normal knitting mojo that I usually have, especially going into the fall, because that's always the time when I have that surge of excitement about new knitting projects. Up until recently. Yeah! Fortunately, I feel like October came around and the weather started to cool down, and it's really starting to cool down even more now, and it's just like something clicked, and now I'm excited about knitting again. And though I haven't picked up the projects I was working on in the summer, I have picked up some new things. I have casted on to, one of the items that I'm going to show you is not a new cast on, but I'm actually working on it now. But I'm only going to show you 3 things, and these things are very basic, very simple patterns. Nothing really fancy to show here, but there are things that are helping me get that knitting mojo back, and things that are comfortable. It's comfort knitting. It's like we have comfort food. This is like comfort knitting. And I really truly believe that when you kind of lose the motivation to knit, starting with things that are neutral tones, this is, in my opinion, starting with things that are neutral, earthy tones, simple stockinette with a nice rib, contrasting edge or something like that. Just something very simple, pleasing to the eye. That's where it's at to help get your knitting mojo back, at least in my opinion. And so that's what these projects really reflect. And there's something that I can just sit down and work on, and it's easy. I don't have to put a lot of thought into it. There's minimal shaping. The yarn is really, really lovely to work with. So that's kind of what I'm going to show you today in my works in progress. And then we will talk about one of the hose that I have in the next segment, because I am excited to share with you that I have finished half of a something. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get started with works in progress. The first thing that I'm working on is my Rhinebeck sweater knit along entry. Now, this, when I see some of the sweaters that you guys are working on, I feel a little bit guilty to call this my entry, but you know what? I'm sorry, not sorry, because I'm really enjoying working on this. It's something I've been wanting to knit for a long time, and it's a sweater, and so it's perfect for right now, for helping me revive that knitting mojo that was lost. And so it is the Nolita sweater by We Are Knitters, and this is just, you'd think that I'd have more done considering how giant this yarn is, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So this is the back panel of the Nolita sweater. It's all stockinette with a ribbed border down here. This is one of the easiest things I've ever knit. It's, well, just because it's not complicated. It's just ribbing and then stockinette stitch, and the yarn is super, super giant. So here is the We Are Knitters wool that comes with this, and you're knitting this on size 15 millimeter needles, so you can see just how big these needles are. They're beautiful needles. They're really, really gorgeous. But it's a super easy, mindless knit in that regard. And so this is kind of what I've gotten done so far. And I picked this up and actually started working on it consistently like maybe 3 weeks ago. And I've been doing various different things. Like I said, the knitting mojo is not back to where it was before, so I'm not knitting every second of the day when I have a chance. But I'm knitting a lot more, and that feels like a step in the right direction. But this is what I have so far. It's really very beautiful. What I'm excited about with this is that even though I'm pregnant, I do think that when it gets cool enough for me to wear this, and I'm finished with it, I will be able to wear it over my big pregnant belly. So that's what I'm excited about with this. I'm hoping to have this done way before January 1st. I really ought to. I mean, come on. Some of you guys are pumping out sweaters over there on Ravelry in the Rhinebeck sweater thread like nobody's business. So I definitely need to get this done before January 1st, and that's my goal. But you know how those things are. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And earlier when I was talking about the giveaway prize, I mentioned Lorelei Erto and her jewelry design and the little stitch markers that I'm including in that giveaway. These are them right here. I have on my work right here one that she gifted to me, and it is just a progress keeper with a ram for Aries, which is my my sign, and it's really cute. So I'm using that on this project here. So that is my first work in progress, and I really love it. But this is one thing I will say, and I think that when you're working with such giant yarn and such big needles, we tend to think that it just flies off the needles, and in a respect it does, only because the stitches are so big, so of course it's not going to take you as much to get, fabric going for your project. But there's something about the process of knitting with giant needles that makes it a little bit more cumbersome and slow. I almost feel like I make the same amount of fabric with these giant needles as I would with a worsted weight yarn on a size 7 needle, my sweet spot combination. I feel like I'm just as fast at getting the same amount of fabric with that as I am with this, just because there's more, physicality to this. There's definitely more throwing and more pulling off the needle. You're working with something the size of a screwdriver, essentially. So it's a little bit more cumbersome, but that definitely doesn't take away from the fact that you have a lot more instant gratification with something like this. So if you're looking for a project that provides you with that, this is definitely a good place to go. And don't be deceived with the fact that I only have this much done. I feel like if I really put my nose to the grindstone, this thing could be finished in less than a week. But I'm not that kind of knitter. If we've learned anything about me, I'm not that fast of a knitter. So what have you? What can I do? Not a lot. So that is my Nolita sweater, and it's really, really very lovely. I'm enjoying it. And if you've seen We Are Knitters the wool on like Instagram or in pictures on the internet, and you've thought about how soft it must be, like, yeah, it is as soft as you can imagine. It's so scrumptious. I love it so much. So definitely give one of these We Are Knitters patterns a shot because they're just beautiful. Okay, my next work in progress is another very basic pattern. This is called the Simple Pleasures hat by Pearl Soho. It is just your basic stockinette hat with a ribbed cuff, as they call it in the pattern. I have done things a little bit differently with this hat, but let's talk a little bit about the yarn first, because this was stash yarn, and if you look closely at the yarn, you can see it almost has a heathered effect, and that's because this is 2 strands held together. The pattern actually calls for 2 strands held together, and it calls for Rowan's Kid Silk Haze, which is a 70% super kid mohair and a 30% silk, and it's also a very, very fine lace weight yarn. And then it also calls for Jade Sapphires 2-ply cashmere silk, 45% cashmere, 55% silk, and that is a fingering weight yarn. Actually, it might even be a lace weight yarn, because that's what I'm using, is a lace weight and a really, really fine mohair weight yarn, but they are not the ones called for in the pattern. These are actually stashed yarns. And so what I had was this skein, and I apologize for it being kind of crumbly. This is Cascade Yarns in the Kid Set. I don't know if it's what Seta blend, and I believe, do you know what? I'm not exactly sure what the combination is of fibers in this, but it's a mohair and a kid mohair blend, but I don't believe it's silk. I believe it's just a wool blend. So, but it is a similar weight yarn to the one called for in the pattern, and I really, really love this color. It's a blush kind of neutral. My husband and I are watching Project Runway right now, and there was an episode, I don't know, a few episodes back, and if you're familiar with the show, Nina Garcia is one of the judges, and she makes reference to this particular color in one of the designs that a designer puts down the runway, and she calls it Millennial Pink. And I didn't know that that's what that was called. I didn't know that that's like maybe in the fashion industry they're calling this blush neutral color Millennial Pink, and I'm not really sure that that's like what I would have called it or what I would want to call it, but that's what she called it. And so that's kind of what's going on here. And I really do love this color, and I don't think it has anything to do with me falling into that millennial category. Anyway, that's kind of what she calls this color, and I've realized that I love this color. I actually bought a sweater that's this color not long ago, and I really thought, like, where has this color been all my life? So it just kind of seemed to work out really well in this pattern, and I'm pairing it with this gray alpaca blend lace weight yarn. It's nothing super exciting. It's just kind of a basic lace weight alpaca, like heathery gray color. I have no idea what it is because it was unlabeled in my stash, but I knew it would work perfectly for this pattern because it's just the right weight, and I had just what I needed for the particular pattern. So the 2 of these are being paired together, and it's making this really beautiful heather kind of neutral color for the hat portion, and then the cuff portion is just 2 strands of the gray held together down here. So I really love it, and I love, of course, the halo that this particular pattern has with those yarns together. Super, super soft. This is just going to be kind of just your basic stockinette hat. What I've done differently here is, instead of doing the really, really long cuff that is called for, and I'll show you here, I think it calls for 6 inches, and this is just a black and white sheet of paper, but you can see here that it's calling for 6 inches of the cuff for the hat. That's then going to be folded in half for the brim. I kind of find that hats like that on me, because I have short hair, tend not to be as flattering. So I didn't want to have a rolled brim or a folded over cuff of my hat. So I just created a cuff that was about 2.5, 3, not even, no, it's about 2.5 inches long, and that's perfect for my head, I guess. So like if I put this on, yep, we're doing it, guys. It's already been done. It's already being done. This is kind of how I wear hats like this. There's something about not being able to see my hair when I have a hat on like this that gives me like issues. Not all the time, but some of the time I kind of feel like you have to see some hair because that's just how I feel. So I push it back way far like this. And if I had the full 6 inches of cuff in this hat, I feel like it would, and then fold it over, it would look almost like I'm wearing just a thick headband instead of, you know, a hat brim. So, you know, as I'm looking at it right now, I feel like I could go ahead and start tapering it in, finishing this sucker off. I think I might be onto something there. But yeah, so this is kind of what it is. Just super simple, throw it on with a really, you know, easy sweatshirt or sweater, really soft. If you've watched previous episodes, I've talked about light lace weight hats. And the reason why I love them so much is because for somebody who has short hair, they don't cinch in around the head so much. They're nice and loose. They just kind of lay over your hair so that when you take it off, and the test will be in just a minute when I take this off, but when you take it off, it doesn't create that weird like headband mark in your hair. You may or may not know what I'm talking about, but that's what I love so much about hats like this, is it's super loose, no like headache, you know, material. Definitely not going to cause any itching on the forehead since it's not over my forehead. But yeah, so I'm really, really excited about this. This is the Pearl Soho Simple Pleasures hat. Let's see how we did here. Fix up the... I'm really excited that I got my hair cut, you guys. It's so much more low maintenance than it was before. If you see any like random hair sticking up that I don't catch, I apologize, because if that were me watching, it would like drive me crazy, but I can't really tell 100% what I'm looking at here. Let's get in there and, oh, I got some back here. Okay, I think we're good. So yeah, Simple Pleasures hat by Pearl Soho. Super, super simple. And that's like what I'm all about right now. I just want simple comfort knitting that doesn't require a lot of thought, that I can just be whisked away into my work or into the show that I'm watching. And this is definitely one of those things. So this, in the next episode, will definitely be finished, and I'm loving it. So if you're looking for something simple, the Nolita sweater by We Are Knitters or the Simple Pleasures hat by Pearl Soho, those are my 2 that I'm working on right now, and I love them. Okay, so can I just tell you how special I feel to actually have a hoe to share with you guys today? I feel like I'm actually stepping into a special club that I see all of these other really cool podcasters being a part of, that I've just been standing in the background. You know, I have no hoes, but that's just, I kind of feel like I've been left out a little bit. You know, then it's my own problem. But finally, I got my act together and I cranked out half of a project, and I want to share that with you guys today. It's not only special because it's a half object and I finally got half of something finished, which sounds really sad, but it's a little pattern that I kind of wrote up for myself because of what I was looking for specifically, not because I thought I was being super ingenious, because as you see in a minute, this is not a really ingenious pattern, I guess. I mean, it's just a pretty basic run-of-the-mill version of what it is, but it's perfect for what I was looking for, and I was really proud that I was able to kind of pencil out what I wanted in this particular knit and create it to spec, I guess you could say, to fit me the way that I was hoping it would fit. So this is actually the second of this particular project that I've done. I actually knit this project it was last fall because it was a Christmas gift for my sister-in-law and my brother. I knit the ones I'm going to show you right now for my sister-in-law, and then I knit a shorter, larger version for my brother. So I am writing up a pattern for both the men's version and for the women's version. But these, I have it on my project page called the Tapered Gauntlets, and that's pretty much what they are. So without further ado, I am going to put it on for you and model. Don't get too excited about having me put my hand up in front of the camera and having this beautiful hand-dyed yarn, because I did not do this with hand-dyed yarn, and I'll talk about why in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to stand up so you can see this a little bit better because it's on my arm. So here is the tapered gauntlet. I'm going to back up just a little bit here. It is just a basic fingerless mitten, but what I love about this is that it is tapered. So it starts off wider, so you can wear it up on your upper arm, or of course you can scrunch it down and you can kind of wear it like this. But it starts off wider here, and then it tapers and becomes more narrow as you go towards your lower portion of your forearm and your wrist. And then of course you have your basic fingerless construction up here, no fingers, just, you know, a hole, and then a thumb gusset and a thumb sleeve here, I guess. Is that what you call it, a thumb sleeve? So anyway, this is just called the Tapered Gauntlet, and I am knitting this in Lion Brand fisherman's wool. This is just your basic fisherman's wool. They sell it at Joann Fabrics. You can buy it online at Lion Brand, but I really have a love affair with this yarn. And I'll talk about that in a minute when I sit down and I feel like I can have eye contact with you again. But this is it. This is the tapered gauntlet. Another reason I really love this is because it is tapered. You can wear it over sleeves if you have long sleeves, because who's going to wear a gauntlet like this with a t-shirt like I'm wearing right now? So I'm going to show you what this looks like over long sleeves. Okay, we're back. Oh my gosh, it looks so festive in here with these lights and the red. Christmas is coming. Okay, so here is the gauntlet over long sleeves. It's just a basic, very thin cardigan. But I love the way it looks over something that has long sleeves. I wish I had a better way of showing this to you other than like this robotic right angle that I'm doing here with my arm. I could like pose like this so you could see the baby bump. Yeah, so here is my gauntlet, and I love it. I love this so much. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and sit down, take a load off, and talk a little bit more about this pattern. Okay, so really simple pattern, really simple design, but like I did mention, it is tapered. I wrote this pattern for the purpose of having it be, and you can see the taper is really gentle. It's not an intense, you know, A-line taper or anything, but you can tell that it does taper in this way as you get closer to the hand. I wanted these to be knit out of fisherman's wool, and this is the particular color that I'm knitting this out of, because I really have loved the rustic, earthy quality to this particular wool. I don't know where it's manufactured necessarily. I haven't gone and dug around where specifically this is manufactured. I have a feeling it's probably manufactured. Well, let's just look. I have another ball. I do the men's version, or when I did this the first time, I did the men's version in this oatmeal color, which would be beautiful with the tapered gauntlet as well. It says here, it's made in China, you know, not super surprising. It's pure virgin wool containing natural oils. So I don't know the background of this yarn, and we have had that discussion before about, you know, understanding where your yarn comes from and where it's sourced. And I am, you know, I definitely like to pay attention to things like that, but I'm a sucker for this, this wool, and I love it so much for these particular kinds of accessory projects. And you get so much for your money, especially when you're using it for accessories, because you have tons of yardage here. This is actually 465 yards, 8 ounces, and that's a lot of wool to work with. So I really love fisherman's wool. This is one of the colors that I use. The color that I'm using right now is this darker, I don't know what we would call this necessarily, but it's just a really beautiful natural color. So my inspiration for these came, and I have a feeling somebody out there is like, oh my gosh, that looks a lot like so-and-so. And you probably are right. That's what inspired me to knit these. If you are an Outlander fan, as am I, of the show, not the books, because I'm having the hardest time getting through book number 1 because I watched the first season of Outlander and I feel like it's ruined it for me. Topic of conversation for another time. Of course, if you have anything to say about that, or if you would like to urge me to open the book and actually read it, if you would like to inspire me to do that down below in the comments, please feel free. In the show, Claire, who is the female lead, wears the most beautiful, like, gauntlet style I think they're just fingerless gloves. I don't know if they're just a cuff or not, but they're like a fingerless glove, just like this, and in this, almost exactly this color. And it just looks so beautiful in the show. And it especially looks beautiful because it's paired with this, like, really pretty 18th century, you know, garb that she has on, but I love it. And so I was thinking, that's what I want. I want a fingerless mitt that goes all the way up to my elbow, but that I do have, that's loose enough that I could bunch it down and make it look a little bit more rustic, and that it's not squeezing in on my arm. Something that almost fits like a sweater sleeve all the way down to the hand. And that's kind of how I feel about these, is that you can like really work them. You don't have to like be gentle with them. I mean, it's a real nice, like, durable fabric, so you can really work them how you want them. But I wanted something like that. I wanted it to fit almost like a nice sweater sleeve all the way down to the hand, so you have kind of that feeling of having a really long sweater sleeve down on your hand, something like that. And then also something that just looked really earthy, rustic, and artisanal, I guess. And I feel like this is just it just hit the nail on the head for me. It made me really proud. So I have a pattern for this. I haven't typed it up. It's not official yet. It's in this book that I write like little notes about patterns. This is more of like a knitting pattern book as opposed to like where I keep my dye recipes. So I just kind of have been writing, you know, the pattern out like this so far. I have the long gauntlet version, and then I have a men's version, which is also really cool. I have a couple pictures saved on my project page. You can see them here of the finished version of these. There's two of them next to each other, but I should take a picture. I should have my brother take a picture of his on, and you guys can see that. And if I do that, I'll show it here. But anyway, I really, really love this. So it's super, super simple. When I get done with the pattern, I will have it all written out. I'll put it up on Ravelry for free because it's super easy. And you can test it out and tell me what you think. You can use whatever yarn you want. Yeah, it's perfect. So if you're looking for something like that, then keep your eyes peeled because I will be putting that out. The only thing about this particular gauntlet that I have here is that I thought, I don't know why I didn't think about it a little bit better, but I'm like, okay, so here's the taper. I don't know if you can see the little taper that's happening here, that decrease that happens right here, but there's the decrease. If you look at the picture of the finished pair from last year, you can tell that the taper actually happens around here, right here on the edge underneath the thumb. It happens about like right here. And I was thinking, well, maybe I don't want it there. Maybe I want it right in the middle, because it seemed kind of asymmetrical to have it there. And so I went ahead and I knit this with the taper in what I was trying to aim for, what would have been like the middle of the gauntlet, but it's not. It's clearly not in the middle. It's kind of off to the side right here. And that's really kind of like not an easy thing to see when you're wearing them. It's pretty invisible. But I'm definitely not keeping that in the pattern. The pattern is going to produce a pair of gauntlets that look like the ones in the picture that I just showed. The taper or the decrease will be happening directly under the thumb on either mitt, so that when you're wearing them, you can hold your hands up like this. You have a decrease here and you have a decrease down here that you would never see. It's completely invisible, especially because of the way these are worn. And you only get that decrease, that taper, on the long gauntlet style. The men's version is not tapered. It's just a plain rectangular version of this. So that's kind of the one thing that I did a little bit differently with this. But I'm telling you, you guys, and this is where I have that sweet spot yarn needle combination. It's a worsted weight, 4 stitches to the inch yarn with a size 7 needle, and it just flies. And because there's no, you know, ribbing in this, you literally are just starting and knitting everything in stockinette. It's like you can have this thing on your needles and off your needles in the time it takes you to watch 2 episodes of Stranger Things. I'm not even kidding you, because I finished this in about that time, and yeah, and we're done with the whole season, so that's sad, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, this is what's coming, and I'm also going to be putting a pattern together so you guys can give it a shot, but I'm really excited. It's my first hoe in a really long time, my second, because I just finished these the other day. My second is right here. And I look at it and it makes me happy because I just know how relaxing it is to knit. So yeah, there's that. So fisherman's wool, and it is going to be called the tapered gauntlet until I can think of something a little bit more clever. Let me know what you think. If it's something that appeals to you. I would love to actually do a knit along for this. I think that seems so, what is that? What do we call that? Self-indulgent? I don't know, but I think it would be fun to do a knit along in this, so you guys can show me all the possibilities of various different kinds of yarn that you would use to knit these, because I know, like, as a yarn dyer, this is really boring. I guess if you're looking at it that way, but I don't look at it that way. I kind of think of it more along the lines that it is an aesthetic I was going for. It wasn't it wasn't an accessory I really wanted to just be punchy with color. I wanted it to be more neutral and muted. So that was the aesthetic I was going for, but I would love to see what you guys come up with in the way of color. So I might be doing that actually, because that would be a lot of fun for me. So anyway, that is my tapered gauntlet and my hoe. I'm going to have you guys go with me to the dyeing studio where I'm going to share with you guys a tip from my dyeing studio about how to mix dye stock using something really inexpensive, really easy to get your hands on, but that works really, really well. So follow me into the dyeing studio and I will show you guys what I use to mix my liquid dye stock. Hey guys, I'm out here in the dyeing studio and I want to share with you guys a quick tip that I have for mixing your liquid dye stock. When you mix powdered dye with hot water, it's really important to make sure that all of the dye particles get blended into the water. And sometimes that's hard to do when you're just using a spoon or something like that to mix it. So what I've found to be really, really helpful is using a milk frother, kind of like this one, to mix my dye stock. This is a really inexpensive milk frother that I got from IKEA. It was like less than $3 US, and I have a couple of them that I use out here, and then I have one, of course, that I use in there for my coffee, and it works excellent for mixing liquid dye stock. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I mean by that right now. Okay, so you can see that I have my dye powder down in my measuring cup there. I'm gonna go ahead and add my hot water to my measuring cup to liquefy my dye. And this is just below boiling, so I'm gonna go ahead and add what I need. There we go. Now that I've done that, I'm going to use my milk frother and I'm gonna get down in there underneath the surface of the water and I'm going to mix my dye stock. Okay, so there you have it, really frothy liquid dye stock. The bubbles are eventually going to dissipate and you won't have to worry about those. They don't really make much of a difference anyway, but that is how I mix my liquid dye stock and I get rid of all of those dry powder particles so I don't have any uneven dyeing when I use liquid dye stock. It's really, really helpful for me. Maybe it can be something that you can use, but definitely stock up on milk frothers because the ones that you can get at IKEA are super inexpensive and I find lots of different applications in dyeing yarn for them when it comes to using liquid dye stock. So I'm going to go ahead and take my dye stock that I just created. I'm going to add it to my little jar. You can see in the leftover there's no dregs or anything like that. You can tell it's been completely mixed and I am good to go. I really don't have much in the way of acquisitions, but what I do have is very special to me. So I wanted to share this with you guys. It was, it's kind of like a birthday gift from my dearest friend, Lauren in California. She has been kind of working on compiling this since my birthday in April, but we haven't had a chance to get together to see each other. And so they were here just a few weeks ago and she brought this for me and it's so special. And I'm telling you, like, the smells, the aroma, I should say the scent coming from what I'm about to show you is just beautiful. Let me show you what I just received from Lauren. First things first, she created, I think she has a Cricut and she's really into, not scrapbooking necessarily, but she's really good at working with the Cricut and creating paper cutouts, iron-on type things with that, and she's just super creative in general and very thoughtful because when you see this you'll understand how very thoughtful this is. But it's just a cute little project bag that she has created for me with my Fiber for the People yarn logo. So as you can see, there is the Fiber for the People logo and it is just a really cute little project style bag and I love it so much. And in this she created for me a keychain to go with it, and it's just a keychain that has my, if you can see that, Fiber for the People logo keychain, and I love it. It's like my first like swag or merch, I guess you could say, for the business, even though I'm not selling this. This is just one of a kind for me, very special, but I love this so much. So it's a cute little project bag for my yarn business. And in this, what was really special and what's really like overloading my senses right now with these beautiful smells, she got for me my very own bar of juicy orange and ginger Tuft Woolens sock soap. And look how cute, like I was just talking about this in the giveaway segment, but look how adorable the packaging is for this, you guys. I mean, the little baker's twine and the paper wrapping, it's just so thoughtful. And oh my gosh, the smell, like, I know it's sock soap, but I really would love to just take a bubble bath in this. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But I mean, how bad would that be? Like, what can be wrong with that? The ingredients, and there's like 5, are beautiful. There's saponified oils of olive, coconut, and palm, water, lanolin, and essential oils. Like, hello, if you're gonna have a bar of soap, you'd want 5 ingredients, and you'd want the 5 ingredients to be those. It's just beautiful. So definitely, like I said earlier, definitely check out Tuft Woolens if you haven't yet. But this is beautiful. I love this so much. And she also included a luxury lip balm by Tuft Woolens, and I have been using this religiously. It is beautiful. It goes on so smooth, and it smells really nice, and it lasts a long time. Sometimes when you buy artisanal, oh, it's got a beautiful cocoa butter smell. Sometimes when you buy artisanal lip balm, they go on really, really nicely, but they tend not to last very long. You find that you're reapplying it pretty quickly, but this is different. For whatever reason, I can put this on and my lips stay glossy and moisturized for a really, really long time. Even if I'm drinking something like tea or, you know, something out of a glass, it really lasts a long time. And then last but certainly not least, a beautiful skein of yarn. Oh, look at these colors, you guys. This is hand dyed by K-Zip Knits. And this is the label here. I have actually never heard of this yarn dyer before, but I'm really happy to be aware of it now because the work is beautiful. This is an 8515 merino wool nylon, 100 grams, 438 yards, and it is hand dyed in Surrey, BC, Canada. And she got this for me, Lauren got this for me at Wet Coast Wool, which if you are not familiar with the Wet Coast podcast, you definitely need to check it out because I love their podcast. But she picked this up over at their yarn shop, and I'm really happy she did because it's gorgeous. And now I have been made aware of a new indie dyer, and that makes me happy. So Lauren, thank you so much for these gifts. I'm super excited to have these in my stash, and how fun is it to have a project bag with my yarn brand label on it? I mean, come on, it's the best. So that's all I have in the way of acquisitions. A little over a week ago, I had a shop update, and there are a few things left in the shop, so I want to share with you guys what's left in the shop, the Fiber for the People yarn shop. If you have not had a chance to check out Fiber for the People yarn, definitely do. You can find my Instagram account at fiber.for.the.people, and you can also head right over to the shop, which is fiberforthepeopleyarn.com. You can do some shopping there. If you are shopping right now, don't forget to use the coupon code FIBERFIX, and that will give you 10% off your order of $30 or more, so definitely take advantage of that. I'm going to go ahead and show you right now some of the things that are still left in the shop so you know what you can possibly get your hands on. Okay, we do have some sock sets left in the shop right now, and I'm going to show you each of those. A couple of them, actually no, just one colorway is on multiple bases, so I'll go ahead and show you what I have now. This first sock set is actually a combination of a Lucky Strike colorway mini skein and a colorway from the previous update, which is called Dark and Stormy. So this is the Dark and Stormy sock set. This is the Dark and Stormy colorway, and this is called Cinnamon. It is a Lucky Strike colorway that is created as I rinse off my dyeing utensils. The dye collects in a pot of clear water, and then I dye additional skeins of yarn in that color so that no dye is wasted. So this was what was produced in one of those batches, and I'm calling it Cinnamon, and it is beautiful, and it looks just gorgeous with this Dark and Stormy color. I'm going to take this label off so I can show you the colors in all their glory together. So here is, how do we do this? What's the best way? Okay, so Dark and Stormy is your main color, and then the Cinnamon is brought out in these beautiful kind of rusty tones that are coming through here. It's just a really unique combination of colors. Dark and Stormy all by itself is a pretty unique colorway just by itself, but paired with this cinnamon kind of earthy red tone, it's almost like a brick color. I just really think it's interesting. I feel like this would be a great color combination if you're making socks for somebody who prefers their colors to be a little bit more masculine, or dark or rich or what have you. If you have a special someone in your life and he would like a pair of socks, this is a really good way to go. This is on my Twisty Singles yarn base, and the reason why I chose to do sock sets with a single ply yarn is because this yarn is really special. It has a very, very high twist, which makes it really great for knitting socks. And so if you love using single ply yarn, but you have yet to do a pair of socks with single ply yarn, this is the yarn for you. It's called Twisty Singles. It's the only single ply it's the only single ply yarn that I'm offering in the shop right now, just because it is so versatile. I was offering a really, really nice, luxurious single ply yarn earlier in the shop, but it wasn't suitable for things like socks. It probably was only suitable for things like shawls, just because it has nice drape, but you really couldn't use it for much more than that because it would have a tendency to pill. This single ply yarn still provides you with all of the luxury that I had in that particular single ply. The drape is beautiful, but because it's really, really heavily twisted or tightly twisted, you get a lot more durability and it does not pill. So if you are knitting a pair of socks with this, it's really quite perfect for that, and it gives you that really pretty single ply aesthetic, but with a durability that you want in a sock yarn. So that's why I love these, and that's why I decided to do some sock sets with this Twisty Singles base. So definitely check it out if you haven't had a chance to work with this single ply base. You're really missing out because it's really beautiful. I've had several people work with it and tell me how much they love working with it. So definitely, if you're interested in trying out single ply for socks, pick up a sock set because it's really, really beautiful to work with. That is the Dark and Stormy sock set. Also using the Twisty Singles base, I have Cactus Flower. So I paired Cactus Flower from the previous update with a gray Lucky Strike colorway, similar to what I have over here. So here is the sock set. So this is Cactus Flower, and this Cactus Flower was paired with this beautiful gray Lucky Strike color here called Cement. So I'm going to take the label off of this so you can get a little bit of a closer look. This is again on that Twisty Singles base. And what I love so much about this version of the Cactus Flower sock set, because usually Cactus Flower is paired with a green mini, but I love the gray because this particular version of Cactus Flower had really pretty, I don't even know if this makes sense, but really pretty silvery undertones to it. Nice earthy, warm undertones. And this cement color really brings those out nicely. So that's kind of what we have going on here. So you have your cement gray and your Cactus Flower, and this is on that Twisty Singles, and it's really gorgeous. So, and there's actually only one left of these in the shop. And I love it so much. I mean, that really rich pink right there, that berry color, and that cement gray color. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I really, really just love it. So that is Cactus Flower sock set. Beautiful. Another sock set that I have on the Twisty Singles, but I also have it on a couple different bases, is my Donuts with Dad. This is the Donuts with Dad colorway right here. It's got that really beautiful frosting pink and berry color with the warm toffee colors here. It reminds me of donuts. And then kind of taking a risk here, and it looks to me like it's really saturated with these lights, but definitely a risk. This is Sea Foam. It's a spearmint kind of green color. And I love this combination. It's definitely a risky combination, but I love it because it's different and surprising, and the contrast is really, really pretty and kind of pleasing to the eye, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm digging it. So this is the Donuts with Dad sock set. I have it here on Twisty Singles. I also have it on my Loft base, which is my 75-25 4-ply superwash merino nylon. Same, and each sock set, the mini and the main color, is on the same base. So we have Twisty Singles, Loft, and then I have it on my Taylor's Favorite. Taylor's Favorite is an 80-20 2-ply twist. You can see when you look really close, the twist is really beautiful in this yarn. But yeah, I really love this. I think it's beautiful, and I think you probably will too. But so this is Donuts with Dad sock set. Again, there are 3 different bases right now. You can get it in the 2-ply, the 4-ply, 75-25, and the single ply, and it's really gorgeous. Last but not least, in the sock set department, I have Gotta Lava Mauna Loa. That is one of my most popular colorways. It is this red and orange beauty here with the black speckles happening up here on the top. I love it so much. This is the Gotta Lava Mauna Loa, and of course it is paired with an onyx mini fiber right here. And together, you guys, just gorgeous. They really just bring out the best in each other, in my opinion. What better pairing than one that brings out the best in the other? So that is Gotta Lava Mauna Loa on twisty singles. That is all I have left in the shop right now on this particular colorway. It's in twisty singles. But again, don't knock it till you try it. It's really an amazing base for socks, for anything really. And don't think that when you buy a sock set, you have to knit a pair of socks with it. I've actually talked to a couple of people who have paired up sock sets of different color coordinations or color combinations for the purpose of knitting shawls, because you have kind of the right distribution of colors. Usually the solid is less yardage, and so you can kind of add those little contrasts into your shawls. So something to think about, but that is what I have in the way of sock sets. We also have As Seen from Space in the shop. So here is As Seen from Space. This is one of my all-time favorite colors because, I don't know, it just intrigues me. It really does kind of give you that earthy, kind of looking at Earth from space through the clouds vibe. It's very, very beautiful. It creates a really, really beautiful fabric when you knit with it. Of course, all the colors kind of work together to bring the best out of each of them, and I love it so much. It's just such an interesting, of course, it's very unique, and it might be a polarizing color. I've said that before, that some of you may love it, some of you may just completely be turned off by it, and that's kind of how things like this work. But I do have it on two different bases. I have it on there on the base that you just saw, which is the twisty singles. I also have it on the downy sock base. Anytime I dye yarn on the downy sock base, it always comes out a little less saturated than it does on my others, because the dyeing technique is exactly the same. The number of skeins I dye in a pan at one time is exactly the same across all bases, but because this is a 490 yard skein, it definitely is distributed a little bit differently, but it's really, really very beautiful. I kind of like to say that this one just shows off more clouds. So that is As Seen from Space, and that is in the shop in very limited quantities right now, so if you're interested in that, definitely head over and check it out. I do have 2 skeins of Dark and Stormy left in the shop. This is actually on a 4-ply MCN. That is a new base that I'm trying out. I haven't given it a name because I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it. Well, originally I hadn't decided. I love it so much. It's kind of like your ideal luxury base. It's 4-ply, so it provides that, you know, plump yarn, but it's super, super soft and elegant. So this is Dark and Stormy, those deep blues that I showed earlier in the sock set with some of that terracotta color running through, and of course that really pretty gray, all on a 4-ply merino cashmere nylon base. So I only have 2 of these left in the shop, but they're beautiful, and they make a really beautiful fabric. So there is that. I showed you earlier with the Cactus Flower sock set and the Dark and Stormy sock set, I showed you the Cement and Cinnamon mini fiber. I do have 2 full skeins of those well, I should say I have one skein of each of those left in the shop. This is Cinnamon and this is Cement, and these are full 400 yards, 100 grams single ply skeins of those Lucky Strikes. These are the only ones left in the shop right now. So the top is Cinnamon and the bottom is Cement, and they're really, really beautiful. It's on that single ply, that twisty singles that I mentioned before, but these are left in the shop right now. And if you want to know a little bit more about how I come up with my Lucky Strikes, head over to the shop, go to the blog section. It is the one and only post in that section right now, but I do talk a little bit about how I create my Lucky Strike colorways. A big time favorite for me this update is this newest version of graphic novel that I created. If you remember from the very first launch opening of the shop, I did have graphic novel in the shop, but since then I have kind of changed the way that I dye that, and this is what resulted, and I'm really, really in love with it. So here is graphic novel. Let's see if I can display this for you. So this is graphic novel. It is a beautiful combination of really, really bright and in some cases just rich, deep colors. And the reason I decided on the name graphic novel is because these colors remind me of the really pigmented, inky color of graphic novels and comic books that you see. And I don't know, that's just what came to mind. So this is graphic novel. I do have very limited quantities on each of these bases. This is graphic novel on my 2-ply Taylor's Favorite base, which is an 80/20, as I showed before. So here is graphic novel on the 2-ply 80/20. Really beautiful teal, neon greens happening in there. This rich, blushing berry color that you can see happening throughout. It's just a really gorgeous color. So I have it on this base. So here is graphic novel on Twisty Singles. This is my favorite canvas for this colorway. There's something about the single ply yarn that adds like a extra dimension to the color. I don't know, but I really love it. So this is graphic novel on Twisty Singles, and it's just beautiful. Very rich and lovely. So there's that. And then I also have it on my Downy sock base, which is a 100% superwash merino 3-ply. This is a 490 yard skein. And because it's 490 yards, the colors are always a little bit brighter, as I mentioned before, because there is more yarn in the skein. So it kind of is a little bit lighter than some of the others that are more saturated. So here is graphic novel on my Downy sock base. Very beautiful. All those colors together just work. So that is graphic novel, very popular colorway. That's pretty much all I have left of those. So definitely, if you're interested, head over, check it out. Grab a skein or two, because it's gonna go fast. And I love that color so much just looking at it now. And it pairs really nicely with some of the other colors in the shop as well. I kind of like this Donuts with Dad combination in graphic novel. I don't know. So it's a fun colorway to play around with. Definitely looks great with the Lucky Strikes that are in the shop. Love this combination too. I have so much fun like pairing yarn together. I do yarn pairings every once in a while. I actually have a plan of doing some yarn pairings with what's left in the shop right now, posting it up on Instagram, so watch for that. Let's talk about what else is left in the shop. Candied Yams is another colorway that I introduced for fall. Beautiful, rich, pungent colorway, really, really warm and sweet looking. I love this so much. Let's take off the yarn band so you can kind of see it in all of its glory. So here is Candied Yams. I love it. Has that sweet potato orange color and the really deep speckles of Cabernet, and then that pink that goes throughout. It's really, really beautiful. So that's Candied Yams on Twisty Singles. I also have Candied Yams on my 80/20 Taylor's Favorite base. I'll pull that out for you. So here is Candied Yams on the 80/20 Taylor's Favorite. Really, really beautiful. Check it out on Instagram too if you want to see other pictures of this particular colorway. It is there. Plus you can also go over to the shop and see some other pictures. But that is Candied Yams, and it is available in the shop right now as well. I also have Bird of Paradise. So here is Bird of Paradise. I love this. It does definitely have a spring vibe to it, but I love the warm colors for fall. Lots of really, really pretty oranges and blushes with those deep green speckles throughout that you can see. Just, it's really a gorgeous colorway, nice and warm and rich. It's really gorgeous. So I have Bird of Paradise on Twisty Singles. So here is Bird of Paradise on Twisty Singles. And I also have it on my Taylor's Favorite 80/20 2-ply base. You can see that right here. And it's gorgeous. And there's lots of fun pairings with this colorway as well that I'm going to be posting up on Instagram. So definitely check that out. Midnight Sunset was another colorway that I introduced for the Halloween and fall season. So this is Midnight Sunset on my DK weight. That is Lofty DK. And then this is Midnight Sunset on my Downy sock base. Really, really beautiful deep purple here. And it's got your black speckles and your yellow kind of going throughout. I'm really loving this color. I love those black speckles with that purple. So this is called Midnight Sunset. Like I said, this is Lofty DK. DK weight. This is 250 yards, 100 grams, 4-ply. And then I also have it on my Downy sock base, which is right here. Again, you get those beautiful black speckles going on in there, which, oh gosh, I love them so much. They kind of remind me of like a leopard kind of print. Is that right? Is that what I'm thinking? Yeah. So this is Downy sock. This is 490 yards, 100 grams, 3-ply, beautiful, soft, pillowy yarn. So you can find that in the shop right now as well. My most recent drop cloth color is called Autumn Drop Cloth, and it is a really interesting, I love it. I think it's such a cool colorway, but it's definitely a little bit different than what I typically dye. It's got like a vegetal color appeal to it, or aspect, I guess, like this really pretty sage green color mixed with these yellows and golds and oranges, and then there's some pink and some really pretty chocolate colors going on in there. Really earthy, and to be completely honest, I don't know if it has as much of an autumn vibe as I was going for, but what I did get with this, I'm really, really in love with it, and I think it would make a beautiful garment. The colors all together in a fabric. So I do have this in the shop right now. This is Autumn Drop Cloth, and I have this on my loft base, which I just showed you, and I also have it on my 4-ply merino cashmere nylon that I talked about earlier. So here it is on that 4-ply merino cashmere nylon, or MCN base. It's a little bit more muted here. The speckling is a little bit less and a little bit more gentle, I guess you could say, but it goes really nicely with the softness of the yarn. So this is the 4-ply MCN, and I have it on the loft, which is my 75/25 superwash merino nylon, and this is called Autumn Drop Cloth. I do also have Granny's tea dress in the shop, but I only have 3 skeins of this. So if you are interested, jump on it quick. So this is an all-time favorite of mine, plus of others who have shopped the Fiber for the People yarn. Granny's tea dress is such a beautiful, subtle colorway, and really, it goes really, really well with Miss Harker, which I showed earlier for the giveaway, and I do have 2 skeins of Miss Harker left on Downy sock. So what I have left of Granny's tea dress is on my Downy sock base, and then what I have left of Miss Harker is also on my Downy sock base, and they really make a great pairing. So if you are looking for something to pair with another colorway, this is a really great combination here. So this is Granny's tea dress and Miss Harker. Both of these are in the shop in very, very limited quantities, so definitely check that out. That, you guys, is a quick look at what is going on in the shop right now. There are a few mini fiber skeins that you can pick up over there for pairing with some of these. I am going to be posting some yarn pairings on Instagram on @fiber.for.the.people, so you can check that out to give yourself some ideas of what yarn looks good with what other yarn. But definitely head over to the shop. Don't forget to use the coupon code FiberFix for 10% off your purchase of $30 or more. And I hope to see you guys in the shop. There's so much good stuff to see over there. Also, you can check out that blog article on how I create my Lucky Strike colors. But for right now, that's what's in store over at Fiber for the People yarn. All right, guys, it's just about time for me to go. As you can tell, it is starting to dim outside a little bit. It is the end of daylight savings time here in Nevada. And so right now, it's a little crazy. What is it? It's 3:45 and it already looks kind of dark outside. Not dark really, but dusky, I guess you could say, outside. But if you're looking out that window, it's really exciting. You can see that we have a lawn and a yard of our own, and that's really exciting. So I'm kind of getting a kick out of looking at the screen and seeing our yard back there. It's really, really cute. You can't really see very much, but you can take my word for it. So one of these days I will give you a tour of this new place. And as I'm thinking about it, just so you know, my episodes, my Wool Needles Hands podcast episodes, typically are an every 2-week deal. Lately, clearly, they have not been every 2 weeks. I am going to get myself back to the every 2-week schedule, but in between the episodes, my goal is to bring you more vlogs of my hand dyeing yarn and a little bit more kind of tutorial approach to those vlogs as well. So keep your eyes out for those. I haven't, I'm not giving up on those. Definitely not. I'm really excited to get back into the swing of things, but I'm getting my momentum back, slowly but surely. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate, but that's kind of where that's at. So don't worry, Wool Needles Hands will become every 2 weeks again. And then we'll have a new baby coming in March. So things might change a little bit then too, but all good things, all really exciting things. So anyway, again, thank you guys so much for coming back time and time again, checking out the show, or for just checking it out for the first time now and subscribing and liking. I really, really appreciate it. Before I go, I do want to remind you guys of a call to action that I do at the end of each of my episodes. Except this time I'm going to talk about a different call to action, which I brought up in a previous episode. Usually I have you guys send in footage of your local yarn shops, whether it be video or photos, and you can still do that. Please still do that. I actually need some new footage for that, and I share that at the end of the episode. But right now I wanted to remind you that I also am calling out for people to send in videos of themselves confessing to their fiber sin. So whatever sin that you feel like you have in your fiber crafts, whether it's crochet, knitting, sewing, what have you, weaving, confess to it. Let us know what it is, because I feel like a lot of us have these deep, dark secrets in our craft that we don't like to share because we know the stigma that they have. But I think it would be really cathartic for us to go ahead and confess to some of those, and we can do it here on the show. So if you don't mind putting yourself in front of the camera and confessing to your sin, or if you'd like to just make it your voice, however you want to do it is completely up to you, and it can be completely anonymous, just whatever you want. Send it to me and I will put it at the end of the show. This week we have a confession coming from Living Dread Girl, and she is confessing to a knitting sin that I'm sure a lot of us can relate to. So definitely wait around at the end of the show to see that. All right, guys, it's been so nice getting a chance to hang out with you. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. As always, your support keeps this thing going, so please like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below. Don't forget to participate in the giveaway because there's really some great stuff coming your way. Check out the Ravelry page, all of that, the Instagrams, everything, what have you. Head over, check out Fiber for the People. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. But guys, you make this whole thing happen, so thank you so much for being a part of this little corner of YouTube. Until next time when I see you guys again, happy knitting, happy whatever it is that you're doing, and enjoying this fall weather, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Here, come here. Ready? See, look, right here. Say hi. Say, I'm Angus. Do you want to talk about your... What is that? What is that? Yeah, show yarn. Where you going? Hi. Hi.
Hi, I'm Living Dread Girl, and one of my confessions is I put knots in my crochet or knitting works. Whether I'm attaching 2 different color yarns or another skein of yarn to my project, I use knots. I know it's a big no-no, but my fear is no matter what I do, it will not stay in the work and will completely unravel, and I will have a hot mess. I'll show you an example. This is some crochet lace I'm working on, and there is a knot. I will weave that in with actually something smaller than a darning needle. I'm not exactly sure what the correct terminology is, but a large sewing needle is basically what I'll use. But yeah, I put knots in, so my confession. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Living Dread Girl, and I hope everyone's having an awesome day. Bye.